We've got a new moon. We have a new month. We are coming up on the peak online money-making season of the entire year, September 15th through January 15th. And my birthday is tomorrow, September 5th. Fun fact, and the irony is not lost on me. I was actually born on Labor Day. So in the US, which is so appropriate for the workaholic, overworking, stress to the max society that we are, that I refuse to be a part of any longer, we have this Labor Day holiday. I won't get into the history of it. If you really want to know, you can Google it. It's probably a little boring. But fun fact is that the holiday is on a different day each year. And I was actually born September 5th. On the year I was born was the Labor Day holiday. And I find it funny because I became what I was taught. My mom was a workaholic as a product of, right, the system, as a product of how we've been programmed. And then I watched her do that and she had success. So then it was really cemented from the school system, from what I heard from propaganda and marketing, from companies, and then watching her, like, that's what's required to have success. And then in playing sports in school, it's like, if you want to be the best, you have to outperform. You have to practice more than anyone else. You have to get there earlier. You have to stay later. You have to do more. You have to be more. It's never enough. But and then all the slogans from all the companies like Nike, right? Just do it. And all those slogans of the early bird catches the worm. You aren't growing if you aren't doing. Who remembers? Who remembers those terrible posters when you would go in for a job interview or you'd go in to like meet with your boss and they would have these framed posters with like people rowing or someone hitting a golf ball off of a tee, and it would all be these sayings but with all these like analogies all around the room. I mean, thankfully I never had one of those posters, but those were in front of our face from all the magazines that we read. I mean, yes, while I didn't have like social media in middle school, in high school, I had like AIM, like AOL. Who remembers that? So there was some of that going on. I'm dying. I still have my AOL email that I use for like getting coupons and stuff for sales. And plus, like, I just like can't get rid of it. And I think it's so funny that I won't obviously say the name of the email on here because that would not be a good idea. But my first email address is hysterical. Do you remember your first email address? Like, I really like crafted it. And I thought I was being, so clever. And so I'm just going to tell you what the first word was because I don't know where this email could possibly be now. But because like my dream was to be a newscaster, which I became, we call it like getting a sound bite, but it's spelled BYTE. And I thought, oh, byte, megabytes, like with computers. I'm so cutting edge. I'm going to name my first email Byte something, BYTE. We have to like laugh at all of this stuff. At this point, I don't know what I'm talking about, but we're going to get in to how I scaled my business to the millions without losing my mind, without sacrificing my soul. In fact, with me doing less in order to make more, doing the exact opposite of what I was taught, of what I was fed, of what I was modeled. And it wasn't until I was willing to flip all of that upside down that I got to the space of true abundance. Can't wait for you to hear this story. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash making advice. Now let's get to it. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and it's my birthday, baby. And this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. I had been thinking about what am I going to put out for my birthday episode, because I have a history of making sure I like spill some serious tea. Like it's got to be something special. And I channeled it and I felt into it. And it was like, no, I want you to know, especially coming up on prime money making season online, whether you're just starting in a business or you're many years in, this is it, honey. And it's the perfect time for you to learn how to scale your business with ease. My success secrets to building a multi-million-dollar business while working less. So one thing I've got to say, if you want to show your appreciation for me and celebrate and say happy birthday to someone who's been pouring into you, whether it's for a few episodes or many years now, you know, it'd mean the world to me, truly, would be for you to leave a 5-star written review of the podcast on Apple Podcasts. That's the only platform you can leave a written review, and you can Google how to do it. It's not necessarily obvious, but it takes like 30 seconds. So that would be amazing. If you're a Spotify listener, tap the 5 stars, take a screenshot, share the show on your social media, and tag me at Project Me with Tiffany. If you're a watcher here on Project Me TV, for sure subscribe, comment, take a screenshot, share this episode, share the podcast with people who you know will appreciate it. And I would so appreciate that. That's like a birthday wish to me, because that's a way to spread the word, to spread the abundance, to pay it forward so more people can find and experience this special show that we have. So first order of business, and I'm really giving you a step-by-step guide here, is you have to be willing to go into and install a new operating system. Because if you've been programmed, which all of us have been programmed in all different ways, ways that are serving us, ways that are actually repelling all the things that we want in all areas of our life. And when it comes to money, when it comes to career, when it comes to business, you have things you've picked up from your childhood, from your family, from generational trauma. You have things that you've picked up from the school system that you were in, from the career that you went into, from significant people along the way, right? Certain bosses could have been an amazing mentor, or maybe you had a tyrant of a boss. I've had both. I've had incredible bosses, thank God, and I've had horrible. So that's law of polarity, right? Like my guess is you've experienced some on both ends of the spectrum, which is what allows us to know what feels good in our system and what doesn't feel good, what we like, what we don't like. And I want you to ask yourself this question and obviously answer it. And it's a big one. Who do I need to believe that I am in order for me to have what I'm wanting to manifest into my life? What type of person do you need to believe that you are in order to have that next level of abundance, of wealth, of freedom, of success? And this is a question that I ask everyone that comes to my mastermind event after we do a really cool exercise that I'm not going to give away. Because what we do at my mastermind event, which I need to say this, it is likely going to be the last year that I'm offering it in this way. We only have a handful of spots left. You will hear in the next episode that comes out, I have a really big chapter in my life that is coming up. And I'm being called to do some things in a different way. And if you want to be able to learn from me and team, my team of healers, my team of experts, you're getting the ProjectME dream team. Like they're flying in from all over the fucking world to come in and pour into you so that you will be able to set your business up in a way so that you can make more and work less. Like we're diving into proven strategies to help you make more revenue and have it be reoccurring, dependable, consistent revenue. We're going to break down the exact steps to attract higher paying clients, streamline your business for more profit and less stress, and really harness the power of strategic scaling to multiply your income fast. Most of you are sitting on a gold mine and you don't realize you're sitting on it because you don't know what you don't know. And then there's some of you who know you're sitting on a gold mine, or you've been told this, but you don't know how to mine for gold. And that is absolutely what you are learning by coming in person. So if you are tired of the hustle and grind and the bullshit, and you're ready to finally build a business that works for you and not the other way around, this is your moment. This is your time. This is it. We have a limit on the spots so that these are almost gone because we want to make sure, first of all, we have to be able to manage you crazies and that everyone gets personalized support and attention that you deserve and that you need. Don't miss out on this rare game-changing opportunity to spend 2 full days with me right here oceanfront on one of the most abundant, magnificent beaches in the entire world. Plus, this is a tax write-off. You are learning from a top-tier marketing and business strategist. So go to projectmewithtiffany.com/mastermind. The link is also in the show notes when you swipe up. It's in the description here on YouTube, on Project Me TV, and in my link in bio on Instagram and TikTok at Project Me with Tiffany. If for some reason you need some kind of creative payment plan, okay, and there's no shame in that. And I feel I need to say this because I've had a couple people reach out to me and the DM started with, I'm really embarrassed to even be saying this to you, but I'm taking a shot here. And it's not the first time I've heard this. Literally, I've heard almost everything. Okay. At this point in my life, after 16 years as an entrepreneur. And I can sense there's a little bit of shame and embarrassment of maybe needing a payment plan in order to be able to attend, but you're humble and willing and excited and want to invest and want to come, and you know what's waiting on the other side of you coming and the undeniable, proven high income generating skills you're walking away from. But you do need a payment plan. Maybe it's just how your revenue is currently in your business. You have to use more than one credit card, or maybe PayPal credit is only giving you so much, whatever the circumstances. By the way, this is a normal business situation until you get to a certain point, and then you have different money problems. And I don't mean money problems in a bad way. You just have to move money around to make payroll. I've invested more right now in my next level of my business than I ever have in my life. And I've had to move things around, adjust things. This is actual real business. This is not abnormal, right? Like most people don't come to me unless you're wanting to increase the amount of money and clients and the way you're doing business, or you wouldn't be coming to me. So you can email us and let us know, but don't just say, hey, what payment plans do you have? And put that on us. That's not going to fly. You have to say, I can pay this much up front. And would you be open to me making monthly payments of this? We are going to tack some interest onto that because Tiffany Carter is operating as the bank here, as I should and as I teach. But we're not gouging you. We're not operating like a credit card company where it's like 27% or something insane. So that email address is right on the registration page, projectmewithtiffany.com/mastermind. And I just wanted to make that clear because I was at a spot in the past where I passed up certain opportunities to learn from people who could have really changed the trajectory of my business much faster. And I was embarrassed because I didn't see how I could put something on like multiple credit cards, and I didn't want to ask because I didn't want to seem like a broke ass and I didn't want to seem like I was being disrespectful to them. And I was kind of in my ego about it. So I just felt called to say that to you. So I hope that's helpful. And again, there's only a few spots left. I don't think I will be doing this next year. And I'm not going to say absolutely not, but just knowing what's coming up, and I will reveal as I'm allowed to. Certainly nothing at this intimate of a level. So if you're hearing this right now, you're hearing it for a reason because you're supposed to make a move and go there. So let's go back to the who do I need to be in order to call in order to be an energetic match for that next level of abundance. Because the old you is not a match. It's a mismatch, which is why maybe you have money coming in, but then you have money going out, or you go 5 steps forward and then you take 7 steps back and you're like, this is maddening. There's an incongruency. You're fighting with your old self, your old way of operating, your old way of thinking, your old habits. That's fighting with the new operating system. So there's bugs, just like when we have to download new iOS for our Apple phones or a new update for an app. And you're like, oh God, now this isn't working. This is fixed, but now this isn't working. It's because there's bugs in your system. You have a resistance and an attachment issue, right? Like a resistance to embracing the new and unfamiliar version of you that you've not operated in before, which can feel wildly scary and vulnerable. And I'm in it right now. It is, you'll hear it in the next episode. Okay. Like, whew, it's scary. And then the reluctance to let go of that old version of you. It's like you're holding on still to that old version because that old version got you this far. That old version may have even saved your life. That old version got you to where you're at in life. And we're not saying, oh, I'm letting go of the old version and it's a piece of shit and I hate that part of me. No, but it's time. It's time. It's like when you you don't hold on to your baby teeth, right? That would cause health problems. We have to let that go, right? We have to let go when we go through puberty, right? We're letting go of the adolescent version of us, way of operating to go into adulthood. And you resisting who you're meant to be right now is what's causing you the pain. It's what's causing you the incongruency in making money in your business. It's what's making everything feel so hard. It's what's making one day feel exhilarating and then the next day feeling terrible. So I want you to answer that question. It's that pivotal. And you can pause and come back to the episode or jot it down somewhere. I know a lot of you listen in the shower while you're multitasking, so you might just have to rewind back to this, but don't blow off that exercise, or you can answer it to yourself right now while I'm talking. You might already have something that pops up into your head, or maybe you're someone who needs to take an abundance walk or meditate or take an abundance bath and get quiet and go, who am I being called to be? Because if where you're at right now doesn't feel good and you feel off, you feel numb, you don't feel fulfilled, you don't feel that delight and serenity and awe and exhilaration, then you are in that middle period and you're being called to do something different, to be something different, to step into a different version of you. So that has to happen before anything else. And then the next step that I took, because how this happened wasn't cute for me. Okay. I was in so much resistance that I was so sick and miserable that, I went to no longer, be on this earth 10 years ago tomorrow, which is wild to think about. And I won't ever forget it. I was just fried. I was like, I would say this, if this is what it takes to be successful, I don't want it. I don't want to be here. If this is what it takes to be a productive member of society and to have money to do fun things and to be able to have a nice house and a car and trips and healthcare and bada bida bada boo, I don't want this. This is too much. This is too hard. And that's when I would be spiraling in that way. And thankfully, in all of that, I got to the point of, wait a second, but there has to be another way. This can't be the only fucking way. If this was the only way, literally everyone would be miserable. This is just the only way that I have been operating at and what I have seen and who I surrounded myself with. But there's got to be another way. There's always a better way. That's why people invent new things and services. That's why we have self-driving cars now. That's how we have airplanes. That's how we have sliced bread. That's how we have the sponge daddy, is because there is always a better way, a new and improved way, innovation. You need to innovate. You need to reinvent yourself. What's the new and improved version of you, the new and improved way? And I was like, there's got to be a way to be able to monetize my gifts, past talents, skills, my expertise, my wisdom, my knowledge in a way where I can prioritize my well-being first and it still be highly lucrative. There has to be a fucking way, because I've listened to podcasts and I've bought programs and I've bought products and I've watched people and I've attended events from people who you can just tell they're vivacious, they're light, and they're free. And these are highly successful people. And of course, my ego wanted to make up stories about them in order to support my old way of thinking. Oh, they probably have a rich husband. They have a trust fund. They got lucky. They're more attractive than me. They're like super white privilege. I would come up with all sorts of stuff. And maybe some of those things were components, but ultimately there is always another way. There is always a better way. There is always room for innovation and reinvention. And why can't that be you? Why can't you do it? Why can't you go about it a different way? And in fact, you're listening to this show and even resonating with the show. That's proof of itself that there is another better, easier, fulfilling, more abundant way, because I teach you the fucking way. I'm evidence. I am proof that there's another way, but I didn't know then that there was another way. But what I was committed to is I no longer was available for sacrificing my well-being for wealth ever again. So that's the next thing. What are you no longer available for? We're in a new month. We're in a new moon. Okay? New vibes. We're coming up on a new season plus prime time money-making season. This is the perfect time for you to have a reinvention. And this doesn't have to take weeks or months. You don't have to do an eat, pray, love trip. This gets to happen right now. And so it is. This gets to happen in a fucking moment. It happened in a moment for me. It was a moment that was probably many years in the making for my stubborn ass, but it's a moment in time. And when I went, I can't be available for this. It's killing me. I don't want to be on this earth anymore. If this is what it is, I can't be a part of this matrix. I can't do this dance. I just can't do it. I refuse to do it. I'm unavailable for it. What are you fucking unavailable for? Then go to, what am I available for? And I don't mean I'm available for winning the lotto and having a rich guy pay for everything and me sitting back doing nothing. That's called spiritual entitlement. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being available for sharing what innate gifts that you have, what talents and skills you have that have been honed over time through your life experiences, through your vocation, through trial and error. and being able to monetize those. And a lot of you are already monetizing those, but not at the level that's giving you the abundance and freedom because you're operating out of this time for money. I have to sacrifice my energy in order to have this. I have to sacrifice my health, my well-being, my rest, my joy in order to have this. I have to sacrifice free time to have this. Maybe that's what you're no longer available for. You have to kind of get pissed. Like, hell no, I'm starting a revolution with myself. I am starting a revolution. I channel Handmaid's Tale. If you've seen the show, if you haven't seen it, this is a hardcore binge watch, and anyone who I tell to watch it and they do, they go into like this vortex for weeks until they finish the entire season. And it's very graphic, okay? Warning. But wow, you want to see a revolution coming out of refusal to accept what everyone is trying to force you to turn into and believe. What's the revolution? You need to revolt against it. I refuse to live my life in blank way anymore. This is how I'm going to live. I'm determined. That determination is going to get you further than anything else because you're going to bump up against roadblocks. You're going to bump up against like things that are meant to challenge you. And when you are truly in a revolution, you're like, whatever I bump up against, I will figure it out. Sometimes we're supposed to bump up against things because it's like going, oop, you're not supposed to go that way. That's why we put this block in your way. You're supposed to go this way. And sometimes it hurts, okay? When you run into something at full speed and it's like, oh my God, that hurts. Well, you really weren't supposed to go this way, like ever. So we had to stop you because you thought this was the way. This was the shiny object way. It seems like the easy way. And you would have fallen off a cliff. In my head, I'm imagining, and I'm not a great skier, okay? I grew up in the Midwest. It was flat. I'm picturing like going on a ski slope and they have all these different signs and it could look like it's a great path. Like, ooh, look at that cool path. I'm going to go that way. But then you run into a damn tree. You run into the sign that says danger because you going that way may seem blissful for a little while. And then you end up falling off the side of the mountain to your death, right? Like that we have these bumpers that are available to us. Some of them we just ping off from, some are really painful, and it's meant to keep us on our abundant path. And we have to remind ourselves of that. And I made a promise to myself that, and I didn't know this was going to work, by the way. I didn't know I had any evidence at the time. Until I started, I had to actively seek evidence of what I wanted. That's also why I'm here and have this brand and have this top 5 podcast worldwide that I only pray grows bigger and bigger. And you guys leaving a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts for my birthday, shouting out the show, tagging me at ProjectME with Tiffany, 5 stars on Spotify, subscribing, commenting, and sharing on ProjectME TV on YouTube. That helps our special show grow and reach more people. And I'm asking for that as a birthday gift for me. That would mean so much. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. And I promised that I would teach the world, the people who were ready and receptive and willing to listen, the people whomever were called to me, because when the student is ready, the right teachers appear. And the people who are supposed to learn, I am here to teach at a variety of levels. That's why I offer so much free content. Obviously, you invest in working with me, you're going to fast track it, right? You're going to fast track it. It's going to be more customized at the different levels that you work with me. I encourage you to take a move in working with me so you shave off that time. But I made that promise that if this works, but I first made a conscious effort to start retraining my algorithm for seeing evidence that it's possible to make lifestyle changing cash while having fun while doing something you love, while fueling your soul and feeling good and having plenty of time and space and energy to prioritize your well-being and your joy in life. And it's funny how it happens where oftentimes the proof you need is staring right back at you, but you didn't know it. I mean, my father, God rest his soul, my father was an example. He just wasn't obvious because I was raised predominantly by my mom, who's a narcissist in a highly abusive household, who is a workaholic. And my dad was also an entrepreneur, but in a very different way. Chill, Coupe de Ville, loved it. Loved his clients, loved all of it. My dad never, ooh, I'm getting emotional thinking about it because I wasn't exposed to it enough, right? Like the louder parent, the angrier parent took up all the oxygen in the room. And my dad was a man of few words on top of it. But when I consciously, and it didn't happen in the course of weeks, it literally happened when I made the choice. It's like turning a dial. I turned the dial to consciously set my algorithm to gather evidence of people who are doing or who have what it is I want. Because it exists, it has to exist because I want it. So it absolutely exists. And the first person who came to my mind was my father. Not only did he never complain about work, he loved it. He would take me, I remember he'd take me like to his office, and everyone, he would just casually peruse in, check a few things. I mean, we wouldn't be there that long. My dad loved going to all the different trade shows. My dad was in consumer packaged goods, mostly like small electronics. He loved it, but it also wasn't his life. My dad also had a big passion for gardening. He had a big passion for travel, for learning other cultures, for cooking. He had lots of eccentric collections that he was super into. And he had time for all of them. And quite frankly, he had a lot of fucking time for me. I just wasn't given that opportunity from how the legal system was working at the time, or maybe still works. This is someone who would take me office supplies, school supply shopping, and he would let me. I'm trying to remember the name of the store. It's like a drugstore that's no longer around in Chicago. God, I hope it comes to me. Oh, it was the best. And it was kind of like a Walgreens, but better. And I swear to God, I would be there for 2 hours because y'all know I am an office supply addict. This started early. This started probably because of my father and because it was such a good memory. And I would inspect which Lisa Frank folders I wanted, which color scheme I wanted to go that year, which backpack, which pencils. I loved it. And he had so much time and patience, and he owned his own business and was successful at it. That I had the evidence of it. And you guys have the evidence. You have other evidence in your life, but I'm evidence to you, whether you've met me in person or not. And that's what the other beautiful thing is about my in-person mastermind experience. It becomes undeniable evidence of operating an abundance that will never leave you for the rest of your life. That's why I have it at a multi-million-dollar oceanfront beach house. I would make a lot more money not having that level of cost involved. You know, like a lot of people have live events in the middle of summer in Arizona because it's cheap. But that's not how I roll over here. I want you to sit and saturate in the abundance, because then you think abundantly, you think creatively, you have your aha moments, your nervous system relaxes. Now you have an imprint that will never leave your evidence bank of what it feels like to be free and expansive and abundant and make money, and that it's possible and it's real. And this is not just some pipe dream, and it's not just available for a select few lucky people. You're creating your luck. You get to co-create this happening. This is a thing. It doesn't matter if you've been operating one way for 30 years. You get to reinvent yourself at any time. And the time is fucking now, which is why you're hearing this. Because if you have a desire in your heart, it's because it actually exists. It's just existing at a frequency that you're not at yet because you've not taken the actions to match that frequency. And your old operating system is making you a mismatch. So you're getting a lot of static in the channel. You're in between channels. And that's up to you to let it go. We can help you get there. Absolutely. That's one of the things we do at the mastermind is helping you get there, but you can also make that decision now. So who in your life, even if it's people that you see online that you don't know, but that you feel aren't full of shit, which a lot of them are, but there's some that are not, where you're going, no, they're evidence of it. Maybe for you, you have 4 kids and you're like, okay, it's hard for me to see how I can have this with me having like so many family responsibilities. Okay. Well, then I want you to set your algorithm to be scanning for evidence of other entrepreneurs, other people who are abundant and free and loving their life that also have a larger family. And I can tell you because I've coached many people. I've coached people with 6 fucking kids. I've coached people who have literally their life partner dying of cancer. Like I have every circumstance. I've coached people who had their only daughter murdered. I mean, when you've when you've been an entrepreneur and a mentor and a coach as long as I have, I mean, I don't want to say I've seen it all because then there's always something that surprises me, but I have a plethora of, ooh, that was a nice word I used, of examples and evidence for you, but you need to set yourself up to be able to see that. So that's the mind stuff. Now let's talk about the action stuff. If you want to make more and work less, this doesn't mean I just do nothing and I like call it in on some energetic frequency. That's bullshit. Okay. Passive manifesting and mindset work and money mindset healing is absolutely required. Yes. But the other half of the equation is strategic intentional action. You're doing too much. You're thinking you're needing to do more and do these things. And then you sprinkler system stuff. I need to do a little bit here and this here and this here and this here. And it never really gets you anywhere. It's better for you to take a trip where you're only taking 4 major roads to get there than you taking some map option that has 37 different twists and turns. Which one do you think is more likely for you to get lost, you to end in a detour, you to get more tired? Which one requires more work? Well, of course, the one the one on the Waze app that tells you to make all these back streets, these 37 different twists and turns, much longer, much more tiring, much more likely for you to quit, much more likely for things to go wrong than the straightforward intentional approach. But you're going to start thinking you might be on the wrong road because you're like, fuck, Tiffany, coached me and she told me to just trust it and be on this road. And I feel like I've been on this road forever and I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm telling you, this is the fucking road. So that's the catch of taking fewer is you almost feel like it's taking longer because it feels mundane. It requires more patience. You're not taking as many actions. You can kind of like sit back in your car and eat snacks. So it almost feels kind of wrong, like, God, I feel like I've been on this road for like 80 miles now. Like, what the heck? But that's where you're going to work less. And that's where we pare and pull back a lot of the things that you've been doing in your business. Some of you have too many offers. You don't need to have all those different offers. Some of you have just picked up things along the way from different people you've watched or learned from that maybe feel good to them and maybe work for them, but it drains you. And now you feel like you have to do it because it does work for other people, but it doesn't feel good to you. It's not going to work for you then. What feels good to someone else doesn't mean that's going to feel good to you or be a good fit for you. There's people who get off on launching a new product or offer every 2, 3 weeks. And I know you've seen these people. I would be in a grave. I would be exhausted. I am all about working less and making more. I would rather have just a few premium products that are launched once a year, maybe twice a year. My Selling with Soul signature program that is only launched once a year. My ProjectME posse, which this year made me $1 million. So collectively, Selling with Soul, that one program, which is 5 weeks, and then I give a bonus 6th week. So for 6 weeks, a 6-week program, I would say now I should have probably done the math before I came on here. I mean, at least 4 million. Okay, to date. Launching it once a year, I would say that's worth it. And I love it. And it just gets better and better and bigger and bigger. And my ProjectMe Posse business coaching membership. Okay, that is capped at an intimate size because I don't want it to be some membership with thousands and thousands of people. It's designed as a true business group coaching membership. So people feel they're held accountable. They're definitely seen, they're heard. Obviously, there's not customized coaching in there, but you are noticed if you're not there. If you're someone who regularly shows up, you're able to get questions answered. There's weekly live trainings, and that makes me approximately $500,000 a year. I would say that's very much worth it for about 6 hours of work maximum a month, and that's maximum. Do you see what I'm saying? Then I have my money and manifestation course, which is a self-paced course that has made multiple 6 figures at this point. I'm not going to like go through all the things, but you see what I'm saying? I have a select few offers that I've kept building over time, massaging over time, making improvements over time, like gold standard products over time, not a bunch of filler. And it's required patience and it's required refining. And then they build and they build and they build. And now you're not all over the place. So, what a lot of you might need to do is pare back and just look at your gold standard stuff. More does not equal more money. You need to look at how you are marketing and messaging your stuff. Are you feeling like you're having to be on all the things and all the time and it's so heavy and it's so much? And maybe you started a podcast because you thought you had to. Maybe you then started a blog and maybe you started a YouTube channel and it was all about if I have to in order to get more people. It's about depth. It's not about width. And that sounds very sexual. I mean, it is a little about width and depth, but you're thinking I need to get in front of more people to have more sales. And I'm not saying there isn't a true numbers game to that, but not if you don't have the depth. I would rather you go deeper and connect more deeply with your existing audience than for you to add in more channels and more channels. The deeper you go, the dollars will flow. So do you see what I'm saying? The deeper you go with your handful of offers, even if you're starting out with just 2 offers, 1 offer, I'm fine with that. I know I coach people who have 2 offers that are making over $1 million a year off 2 offers and not a big audience. And that's excellent. And then when you're in a space and time where you feel called to add another, you can add another. We're not in a race here. You're on your own journey. Being in a race, feeling like you have to now have a book and you now have to have this thing. Well, that's going to end you in a spot of what your old programming is, where you're burning yourself out, you're trading your time for money, and you're not enjoying what you created. It's actually going deeper with the stuff that you have. and deeper with your existing audience? And how can I be more intentional? And how can the quality and the connection and the trust building with my existing audience be refined so that it's even more intentional? I'm telling you right now, that's where you are leaving a ton of money on the table, because we're not able to just keep creating more and more. Even if you have people who work for you, even if you hire an outside company to help you with content, ultimately, when you're the founder of your company, when you're the face of your brand, there's only so much you can do and you can review, and no one can really emulate you. And so if you spread yourself too thin, now there's an energetic disconnection from your audience, and any disconnection is going to make it harder to build trust, and you have to have trust to have sales. So I'd rather you have quality over quantity. Think about even friends that you have, or even business relationships you've had in other careers or jobs in your life. I would rather you have this quality and depth of connection with 20% of your audience, right? Than you having a moderate connection with 80% of your audience, because the depth is required for a sale. And so if you're getting a lot of people going, I always feel so heard by you, seen by you, your content's so amazing, and you're getting stuff like that, while that feels good to our egos, while that is a great sign that you're connecting, the real conversion is, if are people buying? And I know it is so easy to get caught up online watching these people who have a gazillion views on their stuff. They have shares, their comments are popping off. It's like no matter what they post, people are into it. And you're like, oh my God, if I had that engagement, I could only imagine how many sales I would have and how big my audience would be and how much easier it would be. You have no idea what or if someone's making any money behind the scenes. I can't tell you how many people that I coach and I have coached who come to me and they go, I have the audience, I've built the community, and I'm not making any money. And it's way more common than you realize, to where there's even shame involved. Like, people think I'm making all this money. They're making the assumption. And then I feel shame and guilt that I'm not, because I should be. And clearly I'm missing something and I'm doing something wrong. And it's like, yes, if what you focus on grows. If you're only focusing on getting engagement on your shit and not focused on quality connection and trust building, then you're going to get engagement. You're going to get all of that ego stuff. But if your focus is on depth of connection and trust building, so someone goes, oh, okay, I know Tiffany's the person to help me. Like, I'm going to invest my time, energy, and money in her. Like, it's happening, I'm done. Versus it being optional or a someday option for people, right? Like, oh, I'll work with her someday. Oh, when she has a book that comes out, when I have more money. You have to be intentional about who you're attracting. A lot of you are just looking to attract the masses versus attracting the buyers. And it's a shift, and it's also a strategy shift and a messaging shift of who you're talking to and how you're talking to them. Who you are calling in is who you're going to attract. Imagine you being on the dating apps and you have this manifestation of this ideal person, this ideal partner for you. Well, your bio on the dating app better make that fucking clear of who you want to attract. But you might not get tons of people matching you because you're being so specific about what you want. But the people who do match with you are like, great. You have to be intentional with what you're putting out in order to attract that type of person. But your ego is going to mess with you because you might not be getting the same amount of views, the same amount of followers, the same amount of stuff. There's tons of low hanging fruit who will follow you, who will like your stuff. That's great. I'm interested in the people who are engaging with me, who are true buyers, who are people who are like, you know what? I found my person. I'm going to make a move. It's going to be with you. I feel safe with you. You get me. Let's go. Let's do this motherfucking thing. But don't think for a second there are times when I go, man, I would love to have triple the audience of ideal clients, right? And you have to make sure you remind yourself of that, that you don't just want bigger reach, a bigger focus just to have that. If they're just people who are, you know, energy vampires, content vampires, because that's going to make you work more and make a lot less because all these people suck your time, suck your bandwidth, and suck your energy, right? Like that's just going to happen. I would rather have people in my audience, people who are coming to my mastermind, people who apply to coach with me, people who are in the posse that are genuine people that are here and willing to invest and show up with themselves and are humble and grateful and willing to learn and like to have fun at the same time. So the bottom line in all of this is there is absolutely a way to make more and work less to scale with ease, but you have to be intentional with what you're available for and what you're no longer available for. You have to set yourself up to restructure, to refine, to massage your business so that you have reoccurring revenue in there. It's a model that is set up where it's not dependent on just your time and energy. And then the third key component is making sure you're focusing on depth and quality of connection and trust building with your people, not the quantity and not the masses. This is all available for you. It's more available now than ever. This does not need to be something that takes you months and months and months to tweak and fix. You have the opportunity to come for 2 full days with me to accelerate this. And without a doubt, you will leave knowing exactly what you need to do and how you need to do it in order to have a business that you're excited to scale, that you're not scared to scale, in order to have a business that supports your life versus robs you and takes your life force. We aren't going to do that life. That we're not available for that shit and it's not necessary. And start focusing this algorithm and train it on seeing the life that you want and seeing examples and seeing proof in your life and in others. And when you see it, go, that's for me. When you're listening to me, maybe you're watching my Instagram stories, which I show a lot of behind the scenes stuff to show you guys proof and receipts of what's possible. So that's for me. If it's available for her, it's available for me. If it exists in her life, it can exist in my life. That's for me. And you keep reinforcing that this is going to open up your mind for new paths, new possibilities, new creative ideas, new offers, new opportunities. The dots are going to connect in a different way that are going to lead you to the manifestation at the frequency that you want versus the lines in the dot connecting to the exact opposite of what you want, getting more of the shit. But you have to be intentional and you have to be the leader of it and the co-creator of it. You can't leave it to chance. If you leave it to chance, it's not going to be pretty. I really hope you make a move and I would love for it to be with me. All the ways to work with me, you can swipe up. It's in the show notes. And it's also here on YouTube, ProjectME TV with Tiffany in the description. And my mastermind, there's only a few spots left. You can also go into my ProjectME Posse Business Coaching membership. The summer special sale is rapidly coming to an end. I would take advantage of that while it's here. And there's a month-to-month option for my commitment phobes. And then there's a spectacular special going on right now for those of you who really commit and do the annual option. Like that's an absolute no-brainer. There's a reason that membership is famous. And for my birthday present, I would love it if you leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts, take a screenshot of the show, share it with people, tap the 5 stars on Spotify, subscribe here on ProjectME TV on YouTube. That would mean so much to me to celebrate my birthday. And any wisdom, any laughter, any token of appreciation, of abundance that I've poured into you. That would feel so good for me to receive that back. And I appreciate you taking even 30 seconds of your time to do that. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.